Welcome everyone. Let's begin with today's topic. We have learned that most of the natural substances are not chemically pure. Different methods of separation are used to get individual components from a mixture. Separation makes it possible to study and use the individual components of a mixture. Heterogeneous mixtures that we have already studied in our previous chapter as a type of mixture can be separated into their respective constituents by simple physical methods like hand picking, sieving, filtration that we use in our day-to-day life. Sometimes special techniques have to be used for the separation of the components of a mixture. Today we are going to look into the various separation methods that we are going to use or using in our day-to-day life. First comes evaporation. This you feel evaporation you have already studied as in phenomenon, as in surface phenomenon in your previous chapter. So how evaporation is useful as in separation technique? We can separate the volatile component, that is solvent, from its non-volatile solute by evaporation method. For example, we can obtain colored component dye from blue or black ink by evaporation. Next comes centrifugation. Centrifugation is a process to separate minute suspended particles from liquid when spun rapidly. For example, basically this centrifugation is used to separate colloidal salt, that is dispersed phase, from its dispersion medium. For example, we can say that we get full cream, toned and double toned varieties of milk placed in polypacks or tetra packs in the market. These varieties of milk contain different amount of fat. So, this technique is useful to separate these fats. Like, take some full cream milk in a test tube. Centrifuge it by using a centrifuging machine for 2 minutes. If a centrifuging machine is not available, you can do this activity by using a milk churner used in the kitchen. If you have a milk dairy nearby, visit it and ask how they separate cream from milk and how they make cheese from milk. Even your mom will help you to answer this question. Sometimes the solid particles in a liquid are very small and pass through a filter paper. For such particles, the filtration technique cannot be used for separation. Such mixture can be separated by centrifugation because we are unable to collect the small particles in the filter paper. The principle is that the denser particles are forced to the bottom and the lighter particle stays at the top when spun rapidly. Here we have a centrifuging machine which helps to separate. It will spin rapidly when the motor is on, and then the lighter particle will rise up and the heavier particle will settle down. Hence we can see that blood is a mixture of red blood cell, white blood cells and plasma, which is also a colloid. Next, by using the separating funnel is useful to separate the two immiscible liquids. Immiscible liquid means the liquid which are not mixed with each other. Let us try to separate kerosene oil from water using a separating funnel. You can see here the given mixture is of oil and water. Pour the mixture of oil and water in a separating funnel. Let it stand undisturbed for some time so that the separate layers of oil and water are formed. Open the stopcock of the separating funnel. Here is the stopcock. Here is the lid of the separating funnel and this is your stopcock of the funnel. So open the stopcock of this separating funnel and pour out the lower layer of water carefully. Close the stopcock of the separating funnel as oil reaches the stopcock. So where it is applied to separate the mixture of oil and water. Even it is useful in the extraction of iron from its ore. The lighter slag is removed from the top by this method to leave the molten iron at the bottom in the furnace. The basic principle of this method is that immiscible liquids separate out in layers depending on their densities. Sublimation is a process to convert solid to directly gas without getting the intermediate state, that is the liquid state of matter. Hence, we can separate a mixture of salt and ammonium chloride by using this method. You can see here an example of zirconium plus iodine gives zirconium iodide. Here the iodine vapor is getting sublimated. We have already learnt in our previous chapter that ammonium chloride directly changes from solid to gaseous state on heating. So, to separate such mixtures that contain a sublimable volatile component from a non-sublimable impurity. The sublimation process is used to convert solid directly into the gaseous form or vice versa. The sublimating substance examples are ammonium chloride, camphor. Camphor means that is kapoor. Naphthalene balls. Naphthalene is used by your mother at your home as a disinfectant, and anthracene that we use as an tar in the road. Next is chromatography. Chromatography is a color separation technique. It is helpful to separate the different color dissolved in the same solvent. Here is an activity given to you, that is, take a filter paper, draw a line into it and place it in the water, and on that particular line place different colors and place it in a beaker or a glass jar or simply glass, and it should be placed such that the line should be above the water level. It should not be dipped into the water level. Now as the water level rises in the paper, the color gets separated out. So we can say this process of separation of components of a mixture is known as chromatography. Chroma in Greek means color. This technique was first used for separation of colors, so this name was given. Chromatography is the technique used for separation of those solutes that dissolve in the same solvent. By using this technique, you can even separate dyes in black ink Distillation process. In distillation process, we are able to separate two miscible liquid from each other by heating them at their boiling points, followed by the condensation process. We will have a look of this activity. Suppose here we have taken a mixture of water and acetone into it. Both are soluble with each other. Acetone is soluble in water. Here we are talking about two miscible liquids. Now, in this process, what we are going to do, we are going to take a mixture of liquid, that is here we have labeled as first liquid plus second liquid. Then the first liquid, the liquid that vaporizes first, will have the low boiling point than the second liquid. The liquid that comes out first will have the low boiling point than the other liquid. Then as it rises up, the vapors will pass through the condenser. As it will rises up, the vapor is passing into the condenser. Now you can see this condensing pipe is the vapor, and in the outermost wall we are going to pass the water through it. Hence the condenser will become the water condenser, which helps the vapor of the liquid to get condensed. So vapor is converted into the liquid. In this manner, you can separate two miscible liquids by distillation process. With difference in the boiling point, minimum should be 20 degrees Celsius. Then the first liquid and the second liquid should have minimum difference of 20 degrees Celsius of their boiling point. If one liquid is 60 degrees Celsius, the boiling point of one liquid is 60 degrees Celsius, then the other boiling point of the liquid has to be 80 degree or more, not less than that. Now, in case if we have more than two miscible liquids, then what we will do? So, we will check it now. In case of more than two miscible liquids, we are going to take the help of the fractional distillation process. This we have already studied in grade 8, fractional distillations of petroleum. Okay, so here is the process how fractional distillation takes place. Fractional distillation, again the same factor, same process, that the liquid that comes out first will have the low boiling point, and the liquid that comes out last is having the higher boiling point. So please go through this process carefully. This is the process of the fractional distillation, how it carries out in the industries. Next comes separation of components of air. We know air is a homogeneous mixture. So how we are able to separate the components of air? Air is a homogeneous mixture and can be separated into its components again by fractional distillation. The steps to separate is air that is available in the atmosphere has to be compressed and cooled by increasing pressure and decreasing temperature. Then this compressed air is converted into the liquid air. Now liquid air we need to allow to warm up slowly in the fractional distillating column. You can check here we have a fractional distillating column in the green color. Then gases get separated at the different heights, again with respect to their boiling point. Okay, so separation of components of air also takes place by fractional distillation method. This is the diagram for the separation of components of air. You don't have to practice this diagram. You just need to remember the flow of the diagram. That is, first air is entering, then under pressure, where it goes after that compression takes place, right? Then it moves into the separator. So you need to remember the flow of the diagram. You don't have to practice this diagram. The latest comes the crystallization. That is, once I asked you the question during evaporation that how can we obtain pure copper sulfate from an impure sample, and I have given the answer as well during explaining during evaporation process. The crystallization method is used to purify solids. For example, the salt that we get from seawater can have many impurities in it. To remove these impurities, the process of crystallization is used. Crystallization is a process that separates a pure solid in the form of its crystal from a solution. It is a better technique than having simple evaporation. So here we go, how the crystallization takes place. That is, the impure solid is dissolved in a solvent. I repeat, the impure solid is dissolved in a solvent, and then we keep it for evaporation to dryness, that is in the evaporating dish. This is a china dish, or it is also known as evaporating dish. The solution is heated to evaporate most of the solvent. Now to turn the process to evaporation to dryness, continue heating until salt is obtained. That is the way how we obtain salt from the seawater. Now, what next for crystallization? So for crystallization, we do evaporate, but we do not evaporate completely. The hot solution is allowed to cool, and then the solid appears as cool crystals. Now to obtain the pure crystals, we can do one more technique, that is seeding. Right, seeding, seeding. When we are allowing to cool this solution, what you can do actually is you can seed, you can let few crystals that you want in the pure form. If it is an copper sulfate solution, then what we will do, we will seed few copper sulfate into this solution and allow it to cool it. After cooling, we will observe that pure crystals of copper sulfate is formed. So the cold solution is poured off to obtain the crystals. The crystals may be dried by pressing them between the sheets of filter paper. So this is the way how we do the crystallization process. The applications of crystallization process is to purify the salt that we get from seawater, separation of crystals of alum from impure substance. Thus, by choosing one of the above methods according to the nature of components of a mixture, we get a pure substance. With advancements in technology, many more methods of separation technique have been devised. Right. So we have many separation techniques. By using this electrolysis process, we can separate water, that is as an oxygen and hydrogen gas. Now here is the example of electrolysis process of sodium chloride solution, that is the brine solution. So these are the separation technique that we have to remember throughout this chapter, and each one of the technique is very much useful as we are using this technique in our day-to-day life. Next is physical change, the change that are observed. Right, what is a physical change actually, and what is a chemical change, how they are different from each other. So we know the interconversion of state is termed as physical change because these changes occur without a change in composition and no change in the chemical nature of the substance. Okay, you can see here A test tube is being taken, a dry test tube filled with copper sulfate crystal. Now when it is being heated, it is converted into the white color. And you can see on top of the test tube few water droplets are there. As it has been converted into white color substance, if you add few drops of water into it, it will convert into the blue color again. So this is a physical change because we are getting back the things as it is. We have already learned that is the states of matter are interconvertible. So therefore those states of matter are physical change. For example, if you are dissolving salt into water, evaporate the excess water, you are going to get back the salt again. So again that type of change is a physical change. But if you cut down a tree, cutting down a tree and what else? You can check it that which changes will be coming under the physical change or which changes will come under the chemical change. Right? We can take an example that is a growth of a plant. It will be a type of a chemical change. So what is a chemical change? Chemical change means which cannot be reversed. It is a change in which a new substance is made. Right, for example, when egg is cooked, converted into an omelette or a poach. So now again we cannot get back a egg that can be cooked. Okay. Here is an example that is calcium carbonate when it is reacted with sulfuric acid. We obtain a lime water. So chemical change means getting a new product with the different properties. For example, burning of candle. It is both a physical as well as a chemical change because candle melts. That is a physical change. But when the thread is burnt, it is a chemical change. Digestion of food, cooking of food, rusting of iron, growth of a plant, growth of a human being. These all changes are coming under the chemical change. Conversion of water into ice is a physical change. So I suppose you have understood, and please go through your textbook and revise the topic carefully. Stay healthy, stay safe.